What's going on, guys? ShadowNinja here, and today we have an incredible solar build for you guys to use that is very much different from the traditional Bonk Titan. Now, I'm not going to say that this is going to be blowing Bonk Titans out of the door. I'm not going to lie to you like that. This is a fun build revolving around scorching and other stuff. It requires, obviously, being a Titan, the Solar Subclass, the brand new exotic gauntlets, which you can obtain from Legend Lost Sectors or Vex Incursions. I recommend the Vex Incursions route, but they're maybe not as frequent as we would like. So maybe Legend Lost Sectors, depending on the day, and the exotic rewards may be your best friends. And then Tommy's Matchbook. These are some of the simple stuff. We'll get into more details, but this is an incredible build that has made me love Solar as a Titan. I'll be honest. This subclass has felt empty, has felt boring compared to Void, Arc, Strand, and Stasis for my Titan. Out of everything, this is by far my least played subclass, and that may strike you as confusing because Bonk Titan, Restoration, L'Oreal, Splendor, all these different exotics and different periods of Destiny 2 has kind of really made Solar Titans pretty damn viable. But for some reason, the super was a massive hindrance, and while we're using Burning Maul today, the brand new gauntlets changed Burning Maul in an incredible way that makes me absolutely love this Solar subclass. I'll be honest, I'm not really a fan of multi-hit or timed supers where you have plenty of time with them, like Fist of Havoc, the Berserker super for Strand. Even the Stasis super can be a little bit annoying, even though I do have fun with that. I like my one-offs, my bubbles, my thunder crashes, things that I just hit one button, I use, and I get back to doing DPS and other means. I like those type of stuff. And these brand new gauntlets make Burning Maul incredible at doing just that. So before we jump into the build, let's talk about the new gauntlets, because these are an incredible new exotic that I wish Destiny, or at least Bungie, introduced stuff like this that changes how supers work more frequently, because this is awesome. So Percussive Flames is the exotic perk, modifies Burning Maul into a single high damage slam of your hammer that creates 5 cyclones of flame. Consecration second slam creates a cyclone of flame as well. So what it does is it makes it a single hit for Burning Maul, and then these 5 cyclones also do damage over time. These are just tracking, so they will potentially just deviate to an ad if need be, but if their boss is really much in front of you, this is going to pretty much focus them. You could do damage with other means, your Gallahorn, your rocket launcher, your linear fusion, your machine gun, whatever your preference is, whatever your choice is, these flames will help you do that. And Consecration, for some reason, this flame that it creates when you do the slam, the second slam, and you cause an ignition and you cause things to explode, this flame is also fun as well. And overall, I think it's pretty damn solid and finally making this aspect awesome. Now, I'm in the minority. I am sure people have loved this aspect before. I know my friend Dennis has loved it, but there is something that was missing that this exotic fills when it comes to some of that solarness vibes that I wanted maybe to be attracted to a subclass like this. Now, another part that we are using is Tommy's Matchbook. Now, I am almost certain they had changed this because it never really quote-unquote applied Scorch. This was released in a season without Solar 3.0 being a thing, so the intrinsic trait is Ignition Trigger. Sustained fire with this weapon overheats it, increasing damage but burning the user. So you are doing damage to yourself, but that's why some of the stuff with what we're doing in this build counteracts this. And with some of the mods you can do, creating orbs, honestly, it's better than kind of L'Oreal Splendor. It is incredible. And then we have Heatsink. Overheat damage is reduced when not aiming down sights. Overheat sustained fire scorches your target. So I'm almost certain that the scorchingness of this was introduced recently. I don't really remember when, but the change is definitely there, and it is an incredible solar exotic that honestly fits the kind of criteria of using an exotic primary now, because we all know what Dado said. There's really no reasons not to use an exotic primary. They're just better. But if you guys want to use like Prometheus Lens, that is another great exotic to use. You'll be generating tons of orbs as well with this exotic, but for in this case, with what we're doing, we're definitely going with Tommy's Matchbook. We'll use Prometheus Lens in a Warlock build I am putting together. Also an incredibly fun build to use. So I've done enough rambling. Let's get into specifics and let's talk about everything with this build you need to know, because it's incredible. So grace your eyes on this glorious Titan. I'm sure I highlighted the look of this Titan in the thumbnail, but appreciate the fashion. So like we said before, we're using the new gauntlets. We're also using Tommy's Matchbook. For our subclass, to be specific, we're using Hammer Strike because I don't feel like throwing a hammer. I don't want to be torn, so I just use Hammer Strike. Also, even though they nerfed it in PvE when it comes to mobility, it's still viable if you need a little bit more mobility. And with some of the stuff, depending on your stats, you will get it back pretty quick. We're using Fusion Grenade. I'll be honest, we're using it because of the cooldown, and I like that it pretty much moderately scorches them on detonation. Solar Grenade is probably the better option, but compared to Warlock with their aspects, we can't get the most out of that in my opinion, so I do use Fusion Grenades. Aspects, we're using Consecration. This is incredible. This basically, if you guys don't know, while slotting, activate your charged melee ability to launch a wave of solar energy forward, damaging and scorching targets in front of you as you leap in the air. While airborne, activate your charged melee again to slam the ground and create a second larger wave of damaging solar energy. If the wave hits a scorched target, they ignite, and this is incredible to use. This has been buffed recently. A couple seasons ago, they added an extra fragment slot. This was the main complaint I had for this, is that it was 1 fragment instead of 2, but adding 2 brings it back in line with some of the other vibes you can get with this class. And then we're using Roaring Flames because we're using our solar abilities a lot. So final blows with solar abilities of ignitions increase the damage of your solar abilities, stacks 3 times. So this is just stacking on top of what we're doing. And with some of the stuff with orbs of power and fire splites, we're using our melees a lot. It's pretty incredible. Now for fragments, I'll be honest, this is all about scorching and restoration. So if you guys want to cater and build this a little bit different for something you desired, by all means do that. These 4 fragments are not mandatory, but right now these 4 are what I've been mainly using in the gameplay you're seeing and some of the other stuff. So let's get into it. Ember of Mercy. When you revive an ally, you and other nearby allies gain restoration. Now, that's niche, but the main part is picking up a fire splite grants restoration. We're going to be creating tons of these, guys. Just keep that in mind. Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire splite. So defeating scorched enemies goes well with Tommy's Matchbook because you're scorching and then you're defeating them. And then on top of that, Consecration, our super, also does a lot of scorching, and defeating them ignites them, and we create fire splites. This is a really good fragment that I kind of recommend maybe being crutch, but again, depends on your play style. Now, Ember of Eruption, your solar ignitions have increased area effects, so just giving ignitions a little bit more power. And then Ember of Solace, radiant and restorational effects applied to you have increased duration. So we are technically, when creating fire splites, going to have restoration, and this will increase the duration of this, which makes survivability with using Tommy's Matchbook and other parts like that a little bit more viable. You can switch these up. Again, I want to mention that, but this is what I am going for. This is what you're seeing. I wasn't really using Ember of Solace, but I'll be honest, it definitely fits a little bit better. Now, one thing you may be noticing is that we aren't going Radiant in this case. That may be a blow, but a lot of what we're doing is going to be Tommy's Matchbook, and then pretty much using Consecration and Burning Maul. It's awesome. It's incredible. So you'll see. Now, when we back out, let's get into some of the mods that build our character out. So with our armor, we're using a Strand Solar Dual Siphon. We have Special Ammo Finder right now. You can switch that up. We're using Until It's Returned Shotgun. We'll get specific with the weapons. With our gauntlets, we're using a heavy-handed, so killing things with melee will generate orbs of power, solar loader, and then fastball to make, you know, the throwing distance of our grenade a little bit more feasible. That's kind of a niche for me. For our mark, we're using 1-2 finisher. So finishers with armor charges will grant us our melee energy back in a certain way, and then time dilation to extend some of our armor charge decay. We have 2 solar surges and then recuperation. Now recuperation, what this does is when picking up an orb of power, it grants you health regen, or at least a certain bit of your health. This is incredible since survivability can be on the harder side of things because we're not using L'Oreal and triggering restoration like that. We are kind of making things a little bit more complicated, where recuperation will simplify things in terms of generally just surviving. And then for our chest piece, solar reserves charge up to increase the amount of armor charges we have, so we can kind of use 1-2 finisher in a more common light. When it comes to our weapons, our kinetic weapon is a Strand Shotgun Until It's Returned. So we're using Trench Barrel because I like Cascade Point, but Trench Barrel is just for me. You punch it, you get 3 shots of high powered shotgun. It's a rapid fire frame. It's my preferred role with this weapon. We're using the Avalanche Light Machine Gun. Now this is a very old light machine gun because we still have optics. There is a newer version, I think, that has incandescent, but I will certainly sacrifice an origin trait for swashbuckler subsistence and ricochet rounds on a solar adaptive frame heavy machine gun. And then obviously we're using Tommy's Matchbook. We laid out specifically what that does. This is amazing. This is an awesome exotic that if you're using something solar and you want some solar synergy, Tommy's Matchbook is a great primary to do just that. Now, we haven't finished the seasonal artifact just yet, but right now this is specifically what I am using. To be specific, Monochromatic Maestro is pretty much the big one here, as well as Elemental Orb Solar. Now, these are a new thing, and basically they're tied to the subclass. So when you create these solar elemental orbs thrown create a solar explosion that scorches targets it damages. So it goes in tandem with what our fragments and what our subclass build is going to be doing. It's great. It's pretty much the light subclass version of Tangles from Strand, and honestly they're pretty incredible. And then Solar Strand Siphon is important, but besides that, those three, everything else is kind of up to you. Picking up a Tangle or Elemental Orb for refreshing pickups is also nice if you guys struggle with some stats and some ability regen. This is pretty much dependent on which one you are low on, so you can't focus this specifically on melee because I recommend you use your grenade as well. But hey, this is a great perk itself. That's kind of the artifact I have. Again, I don't have it fully completed. I'm literally one slot away from doing that, but in general, that's pretty much it. So my closing thoughts on all this is this build is fun. It's awesome. I didn't mention this before, and sometimes I don't know why I mention it 13 minutes in or whatever long this commentary is going to be in. There is going to be a dim link in the pinned comment section for you guys to pull from dim, simplify some things for you guys. But hopefully this breakdown does give you some insight on why I love this build, how it's working, what are the inner goings about it. But yeah, leave your thoughts down below. Is this something you checked out and are having fun with? Is this something you're curious by? Leave your thoughts down below. If you guys also enjoyed this video and want more content from me, definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified for when I do drop more videos. We have tons of Destiny stuff on the way. Gonna try to get some Crota stuff in there because I saw a little glimpse of some of the perks in those in that loot pool, in those weapons. Oh my god. This is going to be an interesting season with some weapon stuff. But to stay up to date with all that stuff, again, hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified for when I do drop that content. If you guys enjoyed and you want to help out the video, definitely hit that like button. But till then, that's all I have for this one. ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.